This presentation was produced under U.S. Department of Education contract number GS00F115CA with Synergy Enterprises, Inc. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, or enterprise mentioned herein is intended or should be inferred.
All right, thank you, Chelsea. And we have our Synergy team with us. And as always, this is our Office of Indian Education discretionary team. And today we're going to have Linda Brake, Misty Farber, and Amanda will be leading you. So here's our APR update due dates for professional development. You will have your due dates for any of the APR data that you have by September 12th. And then your new grant year budget revision will be due September 30th. And NYCP, NALET Ed, NATRI STEP, and NALRC, your APR update will be due October 27th. And your budget revision, if it's needed, will be due November 14th. So your APR update will be accessible in G5 30 days prior to your submission date.
Okay, so just wanted to go over the purpose. Every year we're required to report to Congress on the progress of our programs. We just use your data to inform that report. The report is also used to request future funding from Congress and provides the justification that's needed. Every year, OIE discretionary team has made great efforts to improve the quality of our APR data. You have all done a great job in ensuring your program and project goals and objectives are effectively reported. However, we only collect mid-year data with your initial APR submission, and that does not provide a clear insight into the great work that's being done if only half the data is shared. So this report is a vehicle to share the complete annual data, and the APR reports are viewed more in depth now. So this data really helps OIE demonstrate the effectiveness of your program. Next slide.
So as you saw when Donna was explaining the schedule, PD is very close to the end of their performance period, and the rest of your grants will be approaching that period very shortly. So everyone is going to submit an APR update this time around. Because by now you have really solid data to report back to the Department of Ed. Everyone should be submitting an APR update if activities have taken place since your mid-year APR submission, or if you have made any drawdowns since that point in time. And pretty much that should cover all of us. You should include updated as well as any new data that you have. The update is important for those who reported any 999 or zeros in your APR in the spring, but also to provide you with a more solid carryover amount and more accurate budget as we move forward into a new performance period. So this is the APR updates will be submitted through G5. And this is a view of the page when you log into that and begin to submit your report. This is just the landing page in G5 where you will submit your annual performance update. And just as a reminder, be aware that G5 is sometimes closed for updates or maintenance, and the time zone will close it at the close of business in the Eastern time zone. So no matter wherever you may be submitting your report, it is important to remember the 4:30 deadline in the Eastern time zone. And I know that really affects some of you. So it's very important that you plan ahead and be prepared to submit your APR update because it will time out. Also, please remember that the G5 is finicky and likes to time us out after like 30 minutes of it being logged in. So one important tip is to go ahead and type up your update first and then copy and paste it into G5. And if you're having any trouble with the G5 system, please reach out to the help desk. But remember that that is one area where staff has been reduced at the department. So their response time has also been impacted. So that's another real good reason to go ahead and get started on completing your APR update and getting it ready to submit early. Next slide, please. So in the APR update this year, we're going to ask you for some additional information. We've always had the cover page in there. And just remember that the cover page must be signed by an authorized representative or your certifying official. We cannot accept a cover page signed by you, the project director, because that's one of the built-in internal controls that we have to adhere to. So be sure that you're able to obtain that signature from your authorized representative prior to submission. And it's always a good thing just to let them know that it's coming so that they're looking forward and can sign that and get it back to you quickly. Also, on that cover page is the executive summary session. You only need to complete the executive summary for your activities that have been finished since your spring submission of your APR. So if that's nothing new, you can copy and paste your executive summary, but we're really looking for those additional activities that you've done from your last APR submission to the end of your performance period. And then section A is pretty critical. We've always asked you to update all of your objectives for your project. And now there should be no 999s. You will be reporting the actual data that you have for each. And you will only use the 0 if you've had zeros up, if the 0 is actual accurate data on that slide for right now. So if you have something that says by the end of year 4 and you're only in year 2, that can be a 0 and it won't be held against you at all. But, you know, actual data. And then Misty will be going over later on about the explanation of progresses and what we'd like to see there. And we'll be discussing that on later slides. And then also for your APR budgets, we'd like to remember that an APR budget is not a way to request a budget revision for future spending. It is only a report of how you've spent money during this budgeting period. So how much of it you've spent and how much you have remaining. And Donna mentioned earlier what those dates are for submitting actual budget revisions or updating your budget for your upcoming budgeting year to include your carryover and everything. So those dates have been gone over and we can put those back up at the end if anyone has any questions. Next slide. When you are updating section A, please remember your GEPRA and program measures for the PD grantees will be pre-populated. So answer each one of those, and then don't forget to include your project measures. Those are the unique objectives that you determined in your application that you would be addressing. So section A has to address all of your project measures in its entirety, GEPRA, program, and project, if you have any. And next slide. Please remember when you're filling out your section A that the GEPRA measures do not have any targets attached to them. So leave that target section blank, and all you will do is report on the actual performance of your GEPRA measures. Now, I know this graphic shows you putting data in all three, but really you only need one of the three. If your GEPRA measure was written to say the number of teachers, then you would put it in the raw number box. If it says the percentage of students to increase their reading scores, then you would put it in the percents column. All right. And then for your project measures, you probably have some targeted targets that you established in your application, like you hope to improve achievement by a certain percentage, you hope to improve the graduation rate, you hope to have so many students participate in a program. So those will have targets and then your actual data so that we can go ahead and see both.
And just for 1 second, so on your APR updates, you're still going to report however you reported in the mid-year APR. So if you use raw number for whatever objective that is. If you use ratio. So report how you reported previously, not just how the wording is. And your budget will be from the beginning of this the project year to the end of the project year. So for example, NYCP, you guys started October 1st, 2024, and we only reported up to mid-year, which was the end of March. So for this update, if you had any activities, if you had any expenditures, then you're going to report those from the October, it's just a continuation of that mid-year. So October 1st, 2024, the cumulative amount to September 30th of 2025. If that makes sense.
Thanks, Donna. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Misty, who will provide some more information on Section A and the budget.
Thank you, Linda. So now we're going to discuss the explanation of progress at the bottom of the Section A, where you're going to, at the bottom of the Section A, where you're going to report your data. So this section is important because it really provides the narrative that supports the numbers that you are putting in this section. And in this section, you're going to explain the story behind your data. So first, we have the data collection and analysis. So what data was collected, qualitative, quantitative, what evaluation methods were used, how was the data analyzed, and any changes in the design or methods from your project. Number two, findings and progress. So summarize any preliminary findings based on the collected data. Explain how the data show progress and highlight any related activities and your accomplishments. Number three, challenges and adjustments. Explain if there were any missing data, any unmet objectives or incomplete activities. Maybe there was a reason why you weren't able to complete that activity. Just go ahead and explain that in that explanation. Describe any corrective actions that maybe were made or timelines for addressing any of those issues that you found in the challenges. And number four, the use of data for project improvement. Explain how the evaluation results are used to monitor progress. Describe any adjustments made to the project activities or timelines to really improve those outcomes. Really go in depth in how or what data is being collected and the evidence of the explanation of the progress. So make any statements about what evidence you're collecting and how you're collecting it. So the number of events, maybe any calendar events you have, attendance logs. So if we didn't see the numbers, we're able to also know exactly what your data is saying from that explanation. So those two are really important. Next slide, please. Okay, next is the budget form. And this is the optional budget reporting tool that will be attached for you to complete, which is great because it does have all the information that you need. You don't have to, or you're not required to use this form. You can use your own, but it must include all of the same information from this form. Some were able to use this last year, but there's also, and I think Linda had spoke about this earlier, there was a revision form. So there are two different forms. We just need to make sure we're not using the revision form, that we're actually using the reporting tool of any expenditures that you all had. And on this form, the approved budget, so from your last approved budget, that's where you're going to put those numbers, and answer those questions that are kind of in that gray area. What expenditures for which you've drawn down funds from G5, and then the rationale for any available funds, and then any intended use of any carryover funds. So if you have any funds that are going to be carried over, describe how those are going to be used for next year. Okay, and the next slide, that pretty much sums up the APR. Any final questions that we haven't addressed?
This is Susie Sutherland from Stonechild College. I have a quick question. So I realize which the optional budget reporting tool is for this APR update. So will you be sending also the budget revision for the carryover request, or for the budget revision as well? Put it down.
Yes, we can send another form for your budget revision whenever that's due.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is Annie from, I have a question on the correction that I need to make on our budget option C. It needs to match the cover page. Do I need to do that on the G5 platform?
What was that again, Annie? Sorry.
Okay, so the cover page that was submitted for the APR has a section that has the budget information.
Yeah.
The section C of the APR has the budget narrative. That section did not match the cover page. We have since corrected the section C. Do I need to do that on G5?
Yeah, that'll be done on G5. So any updates or corrections that you need to make from that mid-year to the final one, the final APR this year, or this updated APR, we'll just do that with this updated APR, and it will be in G5. So we'll have those. We got to build the package, and then it will be open.
Okay, all it is just the correction, so the cover page will match the C section.
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds good.
and then I'll follow up with an email with the letter and that, Donna.
All righty.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
This is Annie again in Dillingham. I have another question. Do I need to include the cover page when I submit the correction?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and if you had any other activities or anything else that you've done in between the mid-year and now, especially September 30th, we're going to go ahead and complete that on G5. So the cover page, any other data that you need to put on there, all of that will be collected.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Chelsea. She was just reminding that there will also be a checklist that will support you as you submit your APR update. So it's going to match everything we discussed today to kind of help follow through that. And then also that the recording and the PowerPoint as soon as possible will be emailed to you. So this is just a reminder of who submits an APR update, and it is everyone. So if you have activities that have taken place since the mid-year APR submission, you should be submitting an APR update. And this is our last slide, but this just kind of gives you all of your program officers' information. And then also just remember, anytime that you're emailing us, just include your PR number, just so we know exactly which grant you are referring to. And that will just kind of help us out as well. And even if you come up with questions, later on today or tomorrow, feel free to email us and we will certainly help you out.
And on that note, you guys don't see my name up there. I was going to tell y'all, like, individually and send a letter and all of that. I'm not leaving OIE, but I will be on the formula side of OIE. So I'm leaving the discretionary side. So if once you guys get obligated and you have your new GANs out, we'll be able to change those over, and you'll have either Amanda or Misty as your program officer of my grants. So I'm still here with you guys and will help in any way I can, and will always be around if Misty or Amanda or even Linda need me. But so I love working with you all, and you'll be in good hands.